Hello, good afternoon, and thank you so much for tuning in again. I'm having a rant about censorship at local councils, not just Harlow Council, but nationally. Censorship, obviously, in the House of Commons, with the Speaker insisting that MPs were not allowed to pose questions about a certain court case, which historically the judiciary is independent. They can isolate the jury, and there shouldn't be really any censorship there either. And I am qualified in British Constitution, and I've been lawyered up since the age of 22. I've been to court 5 times and never lost a case. And no, I am not Donald Trump or any other well-known entrepreneur. So, this censorship's been going on far too long. It's been happening not only at Harlow Council, but also Colchester and other places all over the country. I have the links in the description, so I'm not giving you vague generalizations. You do have the specifics. Now, speaking of specifics, I received an email further to a mini podcast that I directed just to Harlow Council from a councillor whose name I'm not going to divulge, and I'm not going to say whether the councillor is male or female, but this councillor received veiled threats and is currently seeking legal advice last time I heard. Now, this is not constitutional. This is not transparency in local government. Let us be very clear. There is statute, there is common law, and there is jurisprudence to this effect. The rules of all councils allowing themselves to censor questions has to stop. If necessary, what they have to do is have another council meeting where it's open to the public, all questions welcome, and yes, of course, one can pose one's questions 2 days in advance so that they can try and come up with an intelligent reply. And one of the things that comes out about Council Watch is the appallingly, abysmally low cultural level, not to mention the complete, total lack of being able to think critically. It's absolutely catastrophic. If that's what state education does, then we really do have to rethink state education as well. And we have a lot on our plate between the fluoride in the water, the geoengineering. Now we're going to try and put vaccines into bovines, and it's actually not flatulence, it's actually burping that actually creates more methane, but of course they haven't done their homework there either. And so there's a lot on the plate, and we're just going to keep on fighting. We will not be silenced. Now, once again, I reiterate, censorship of the public at council meetings is illegal, and it's anti-constitutional, unconstitutional, and it will stop. You have to change your rules. Your rules can only operate within a legal framework. End of story. And you will be held accountable. Now, I think councillors have been under the illusion for a long time that they are our masters. No. We, the people, are sovereign. You are elected representatives and therefore public servants. This is non-negotiable. This is once again in the statutes. It's in common law. It's in jurisprudence. Right? Change your rule books quickly, because the growing, seething resentment and anger is building up, and it is, in part, largely because of your incompetence and your ignorance and your incapacity to think critically. I'll give you one example of the lack of critical thinking is naming an avenue after Zelensky. Now, Zelensky was, if you do your homework, a little nobody who played the piano with his penis. He was then taken under the wing of a Ukrainian oligarch, who then put him in touch with lots of 3-letter agencies from our little cousins across the pond, right? Now, he was elected on a peace ticket. the peace accords in 2022 had already been paraffé, initialed. They were just waiting for the final signature, and everybody would have been happy. Now, the press sold you the story of Russia invading and expanding. This is utter rubbish. The mayors of those Russian-speaking territories begged the Russians to come in because of the Nazi behavior by eastern Ukraine. That's the only reason that the Russians are there. They have no imperial intentions towards the West. They never have historically either, by the way. We had a Cold War which was Soviet and not Russian, and you do have to make the distinction. Now then, once again, your lack of critical thinking, your lack of homework, your lack of research is unbelievable. If anyone broke the accords and broke treaties, it was the West, once again, with NATO, because when the wall came down and you had the collapse of the Soviet system, which was not a capitalist victory, it was just a natural implosion of a system that could never work, and not a capitalist victory. Ronald Reagan and James Baker, his Secretary of State, promised Gorbachev that no NATO base would go beyond the borders of eastern Germany. We now have NATO bases in Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Poland, and Romania. So who has imperialistic intentions? Work it out. Work it out, for God's sake. Furthermore, it's just a money laundering operation. 500,000 soldiers have died in theatre. Do not use the expression boots on the ground. That's just another soundbite you get from the press. You insult every soldier when you say boots on the ground. It's in theatre, right? Okay, so wake up, Harlow Council. Do your homework. Now, your other ignorance, huge ignorance, and you're not alone, Harlow Council, you have loads of councillors nationwide who have bought this total holographic hegemony about a climate crisis that doesn't exist. We are currently hurtling through the solar system at 70,000 miles per hour away from the centre of our galaxy, let alone the centre of our universe. And yes, we do have a shape of the universe, and we do know where the centre roughly is. Now, every single planet in this solar system is undergoing climate change, and it's still rotating. They're still there. So no, Bill Gates, we don't need you. Thank you very much. Okay? We don't need the geoengineering. We don't need the cows being vaccinated. And there is no climate crisis. And we have a body of evidence that crushes any little spurious argument anyone could ever forward. Furthermore, we do have 0-point energy, which means that we can stop fossil fuels tomorrow and create a golden age of economic prosperity with the wave of one pen. Okay. So, we are in a situation where every citizen has to now make it very clear to their elected representatives that they are sovereign. And we will do it via email, via podcasts, via petitions. We are not taking this lying down, and we're certainly not going down without a fight, and we are not going to live in a Marxist dystopia where you will own nothing and be happy. Thank you, we don't want it. Been there, seen it, done it. The Soviet system imploded, and we're not going down that road again. Thank you. So as JFK said, the price of freedom is eternal vigilance, and we as citizens are being very vigilant within our borders. I don't think we have to worry about the Russians. That's just another distraction. And on the subject of freedom of speech, you poor, sad, hubristic little councillors all over the country. As Voltaire said, I may disagree diametrically with every word you utter, but I will defend with my life your right to say it. And that's a democracy. It's a plurality of voices. Plurality of voices. Right? Which means that we do have to listen to people who have nothing to say, and they are the noisiest. Learn to think critically, councillors all over the country, and Harlow Council especially, and learn to do your homework, and don't just be grain-fed dummies, which is the way you are behaving, and you're leading us into the abyss. Thank you very much for tuning in. Have a nice day. It's Saturday. Ciao.